Hey, what's up, people? We're back again with Andy Cañete and your host, Alex Rockhill, on another episode of The Mind Behind the Curtain.
Yes.
And this is part 3. Yeah, we actually did take a nap this time.
Yeah, that was nice.
All right, so we're gonna continue talking about your film experience, and let's start the clock.
Yes, don't forget that.
Your experience on shooting the short film with Paula L.
It was actually a web series.
It was a web series.
Yeah.
Okay.
Get it right.
Yeah.
Web series.
Yeah. Tell us the title. Where you can find it.
It was called a Shrink Wrapped.
Shrink Wrapped.
The web series. That's it. Shrink Wrapped. The web series. So that's part of the name.
And you can Google that.
It's on YouTube. Yeah.
Cool.
And there's like 5 or 6 episodes.
Check it out. It's good. I've seen it. It's amazing.
I actually was nominated for a Leo.
Yeah.
For that. And Paula was lovely, and she, it started off as just like practice.
Yeah.
Because she bought a new camera and she wrote an episode, and she's like, can I? I was like, fine, let's do that. And people seem to like it.
It's really good.
And we ended up doing a bunch of them.
Yeah. Your acting was great. The local talent that you guys used.
Yeah, I was lucky. I had a bunch of different girls. And,
yeah, you had a few girls that were just in love with you or wanted to be on a date with you.
I failed at every date.
That's right. That was the premises of
these girls, beautiful girls, went out on dates with me.
That's right.
So I look at it that way.
Right.
Not the fact that I failed at all the dates.
Did you find a personal connection to that? Especially like the dating, because we want to get into that. We want to talk about the dating scene here in Vancouver and how some of these girls there
were certain things that there were certain parts where I'm like, I kind of do that. Like some stuff that I say that I probably shouldn't have said.
Right.
And I'm very bad at picking up on signs, like signals.
Yeah.
When girls are interested in me, and later on they that girl was it, and I'm like, what? I did not pick up on that, unless it's super blatant. I don't pick up on,
come on, give me some good innuendos.
Something that it's like they're literally
subliminal
sitting in my lap, and so that's the only way I compute.
Yeah, most men compute that way.
You think so?
I think, and we always expect the woman to make that move because if we, especially nowadays, if we make that first move, we come off as aggressive.
Right.
And if she comes on to us, or if women come on to us, then we feel like they've opened that door.
Right.
You know what I mean? Now they're allowing us. There's a way that we can get in there. I mean, we can politely ask, may I hold your hand? May I kiss you? Just old fashioned stuff. You know what I mean? Unless the girl really sees you as her type,
right?
Because there's the typical stereotype that all women have in their minds, right? The model, abs chiseled, money, driving a nice car, having a nice house, all this stuff, and basically at the end of the day, most of them, I think, see the man as a marriage material, or at least a long-term relationship material kind of thing.
Well, especially at our age, a lot of the girls that would be interested in us are coming off a divorce. Oh,
well, yeah, you're talking about now? Yeah, for sure. Yeah, for sure. I totally agree with you on that.
So they're kind of thinking would they be a good dad to my kids, all this stuff, and it's
Yeah, what I'm finding is too that at our age, we've witnessed some of these girls go full circle. Yeah. You know what I mean? Like we've seen them when they were 15, 16. Like I've had friends that were that have been long-term friends of mine, and I've seen them at the club partying when they were young, getting into the clubs when they were 16, 17. And I'm gonna admit I was guilty of that. I brought some of my girlfriends that were younger than me when I was 19. I brought them in, when they were 17, 16. Because I used to hang out with young girls when I was 19. I was even into my 20s. You know what I mean?
Even 30s.
My 30s, I was like, okay, 23 is the cap.
Yeah, okay.
I'm not going to see any girls younger than 23. Okay. You know what I mean?
Okay.
But I've seen them do the full circle. I've seen them, have a career, being married, have kids, divorce, like you said, get married again, blah, blah, blah. And it's interesting what they go through, man.
Yeah.
And then at the end, some of them, all they want is just companionship. And some of these girls, they don't want the marriage because they've already experienced the marriage, and then they realize that it wasn't that much of a big deal, and then there is the ones that are still thinking the same,
right?
That even at our age is like, what can I get from this guy?
I don't know. I think I might be screwed because I don't pick up on anything, and unless it's like, oh yeah. Check this out. So okay, I'm not gonna name this actress, but she's pretty famous, and I knew her right before she became famous.
Right.
And she was like 21, I was like 31, and we had the same agent, and the agent actually was like, like this girl's kind of interested in you. Can you come to the Christmas party?
Oh wow, the agent told you.
The agent was actually trying to hook it up, and I'll tell you the name later. But like, I go to the party, and she looked really young, and I was like 31, and she was 21, and she looked like she was like 18, 17. Wow.
Okay.
And so I was kind of like...
Great for film.
No.
Great for film.
But I was kind of like, she looks young, she feels young. And only she was at the Christmas party with her mom.
Yeah.
So she made it... to my head, she was like too young, right?
Yeah. And 21, it is still pretty...
Yeah. So she ended up like getting a bunch of stuff, and then she got her like a big TV show or whatever. And then it's funny because like over the years, I was dating other people, and she would come, and she even came to my shows a couple times. I do stand up. And she came to my show, and she always told me how funny I was and all this stuff. So all this stuff happens, and I ran into her last year on a show, and she's acting on the show, and I'm doing background on the show. So I ran into her, and like I give her a big hug, and she's all like, yeah. And then we started. It's funny because like it was all great, and then later on I ran into her again. I was like walking back to Holding, and she was getting off set. We started talking. She goes, Andy, can I tell you something? And I was like, what? She goes, I sometimes use your jokes when I'm like combing my hair.
Okay. Let me get this straight. Okay, hold on a second. So I'm trying to set up the scenario in my mind. Man.
Yes.
She's at home, combing her hair.
She's combing her hair.
And all of a sudden she's like recalling some of these jokes.
Of my jokes.
Some of your Andy jokes.
Yes. The thing is...
And she's laughing.
I'm assuming.
Yeah.
Maybe she's like, that joke sucks.
So stupid.
It's the worst joke I've heard.
I'm feeling
that guy was so not funny.
This is the only thing that takes my pain away while I'm brushing my hair.
So I had this joke. One of my very first jokes was I was talking about how my real name is Andy Cañete, and it's too sexy for me. And if I did it, if I went by Andy Cañete, I'd have to hire a guy with a guitar to follow me around.
That's right.
And every time I introduced myself, I'd be Andres, right?
Andres, yeah.
That's the joke.
Yeah.
And she said she would comb her hair, and she'd be like, I am Andres.
Yeah.
And I'm kind of like, and she's like, yeah, I did that for many years.
Yeah.
And I'm kind of like, okay. And I'm still not computing, right? Like, I'm just like, and she's like, I thought you were so funny. I'd love to come see you again, right? And I'm like, okay. Yeah. And so we were supposed to give it, but like she went back to set. I had to go home. We didn't exchange numbers. So I went to Facebook to like message her to tell her about my next show. And I found this our last message that we talked to each other like 10 years ago. On Messenger. And in the message, she was telling me that she had this dream about me. She's like living in LA, by the way, at the time. Yeah. I was seeing a girl. Yeah. And she was like, I had this dream about you last night, and it was really weird because it started out as Mark Ruffalo, and it trying to transformed into you.
Oh, shit.
And I'm kind of like, this girl was into me. Yeah. But it really took that message. Even after all that other stuff, I still did not compute. Yeah.
You know, I think that happens a lot, man. And if women could be a little bit more straightforward with how they feel, then there would be more babies in the world, man. There would be more relationships out there because we don't catch on. We don't.
I did not.
Sometimes you just have to be. Sometimes you have to just ask the questions, and then we don't ask enough. We don't ask enough. We just go with it.
To me, it's like I didn't I knew she had that crush at the beginning, but I thought she kind of grew out of it.
Right. Yeah. Especially when you start seeing her being
when she was like a big star,
having
her own shows and whatever, all that crap. Yeah. So I was kind of like, oh.
And it's funny enough because maybe that's when she needed you the most. She needed somebody, to tell her jokes while she was combing her hair.
Yeah, and that was just last year. This is
pretty soon.
Yeah,
man.
This has been going on for 15 years now. Yeah. So I was just like,
I know. That's hilarious.
That's
man.
just like,
Yeah, I had a story like that, and I had one friend of mine who's now one of my dearest friends, and I love her, and she told me that when we were both younger, she wrote a poem to me, right? But before that poem, she was telling me a story about a friend of mine and how much she loved that guy.
Right.
And so when she read me the poem, when we went up to her place and she read me this poem and it was beautiful. And the thing is, when she opened up the book, there was a rose there. Okay. And she's like, oh, don't mind the rose. And I'm like, where's that rose come from, right? And she was like, well, it's from so-and-so. But don't worry about it. It doesn't mean anything anymore. What I wanted to bring you up here for was this poem, right? So right off the bat in my mind, I'm like, the rose, she's been talking about this guy. Yeah. Now she's going to read me this poem. And that's the thing, like, I sometimes assume things that are not there. I shouldn't have assumed that. Right. I assumed that poem was written for the guy, not for me. So the whole time she's telling me, she's pouring out her heart. It's for the other guy.
It's for the other guy.
It's for the other guy. Yeah, it's not for me. It's for the other guy. The whole time. And then right after she finished, she just looks at me and she's expecting a kiss and all that.
And you were like, it's for the other guy.
It's for the other guy. And I got up, bro, and I was like, that's nice.
Yeah.
But that's not for me.
Yeah,
and then when she, just ruined the moment.
Tears in her eyes,
man. Years later, we were drinking and we were both getting drunk and the stage where we were just like acting silly and stuff. And then she goes, did you ever realize that poem was really for you? Like, this is like 10, 13 years after, man.
Right, yeah.
And I was like, what? Oh, that poem. Yeah, the poem that you wrote for that guy. She's like, no, I didn't write it for him. I wrote it for you, stupid. And I was like,
yeah.
Okay, so if she waited 13 years to tell me that, then okay, it was for me. It was for me.
I believe you now.
I believe you now.
Yeah,
you know what I mean? I believe you now. She held on to it for that long, but that's the thing. We don't pick up, man. We don't pick up on these things.
Well, like when she wrote me that thing on Messenger, I was seeing somebody else. So I probably read it and it was like, this feels, I didn't even remember it until I totally forgot about it. But like when I probably was like, maybe I shouldn't. I think, and by the way, my response was like, oh, that's funny. And that was like it. Like I didn't even like go into anything and say like, oh, I'm seeing somebody right now. I just was like, oh, that's cute. Have a good time in LA.
Ciao.
Just because I was well behaved.
Well, in that note, do you feel like that she could have been the one? Like, did you ever have somebody like that where you could have,
you know what,
back and was like, maybe,
you know what, everybody has that one, like,
we all have that
but
one.
I don't really have that one.
You don't have that one?
I've been in love.
Yeah.
And the girl that, it's weird, I'm actually kind of writing something about her right now.
Yeah.
But it's weird in the sense that I was super in love with her.
Yeah.
But it wouldn't have been good.
Right. Right.
Yeah. Does it, like when people say, oh, if you're in love, that you got to fight for it. I'm like, actually, I was in love.
Yeah.
And I'm kind of glad it didn't work out.
Right. Because you think that she would have turned out crazy, or
no, more like it was
too much passion.
It was very intense and it was very passionate, and I was total in love with her. But it was one of those things where I knew what I was getting into, and I just didn't trust her.
Right.
Right. So I kind of let a lot of things slide because we weren't officially together, even though we had sex all the time and we traveled together.
Yeah.
It was one of those things. It's a complicated thing, but it's not. I don't look back at her and be like, "Oh man,
she could have been the one."
She could have been like, To me, I look back at her and I'm like, it's probably best that it didn't work out.
Right.
So we had the memories. We had great times and whatever, but. Yeah, but there's no one where I'm like, oh, I was such an idiot, that I blew it with this girl.
Right.
I didn't do that. I didn't blow it with her. She blew it with me.
Right. Yeah, and I mean that's the difference, right? Yeah. Like when somebody pushes you away, then obviously you're like, well, definitely wouldn't have worked out.
Yeah.
Yeah, definitely wouldn't have worked out. I had a few girls. Well, I wouldn't say a few, maybe like. Well, yeah, maybe a handful of girls that I was like, I would have loved to be with them. Right. But I always felt like they had a different fate, a different destiny to follow, man.
Yeah.
I always had that feeling. I don't know if you ever been with somebody and then you're like, I am the guy right now and we're enjoying this and we're loving this, but I am not her fate. I am not their destiny. It's almost like you become clairvoyant when you're with them. You know? Yeah. You start seeing yourself with them, and then you realize that later on they're gonna look back and be like, no, this is not the guy that I wanted to be with.
Yeah.
And that in that sense, I look back and I said, I am glad I wasn't with those girls because now they have a different path to follow. And I see them being married, I see them being divorced and then remarried, I see them with kids, and they fulfill their life in the way that I wouldn't have been able to fulfill it.
Right.
You know, but there is one girl. There is one girl, man, that like, and this is recent for me too. In the past, I mean, I met her about 6 years ago, and I could say that she was everything that those 5 girls had that I enjoyed and I loved the most about those previous 5
all
girls.
In one person.
All in one person, man. All in one person. Yeah. And I was even like, I was surprised, and at the same time I was intrigued. Like, how could I have met somebody that had all the qualities, all the best qualities that I liked about those 5 girls?
Right.
You know, all in one. And not only that, but her mannerisms, her body, the way she gave me certain looks, the way she spoke, the way she said things, the way we had sex, like all these things were like the best of every single one of those girls. And but at the end, like I go back to saying, like I felt like she needed to follow a different path. Yeah, you know, and and she did.
Is it weird though? Like with this girl, it's funny because we had such a connection.
Yeah.
That every once in a while, like it's almost like she's sending messages.
Well, that's it. That's just it.
Like her, through her.
Yeah.
Because like stuff will just pop up that's like about her.
Right.
And it'll be like 3 times in one day.
Right. Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like it'll be one after the other, and then it'll be like a few weeks of nothing.
Right.
But it's so weird.
And that's the thing, that she could be the one that you had to meet in order to have this connection. And now you have proof that you know that you are able to create that connection. And and it happens all the time, man. It happens all the time where you're almost like telepathic with each other.
Yeah, it's such a weird.
She knows how you feel, you know how she feels, and randomly, whenever you think of her, you get a phone call or a text.
Yeah,
right?
It's just weird stuff. But it's like so.
What's one of the weirdest things that's happened like that?
Oh, well, I don't want to give her name. But
no.
But her name is it's like an uncommon name.
Okay.
And her name would pop up like on set or something or wherever, and it was just such a weird kind of like, what? Like it's not. It was a very rare name. And, but it would pop up like 3 times in one day, kind of stuff.
And you're like, and that's when you have to pick up on those things. Yeah. That's when you should grab the phone or something and shoot her a message.
She's with a guy now, and that's the thing.
All right.
But that's the thing is like she's just.
If she responds and she replies back, then you are that guy. You're that guy.
But that's the thing. I don't really want to be that guy again.
Right.
You know.
At the end of the day, it's your choice.
Honestly, when I look back at her, I've never been into drugs. Like I've never done cocaine. I've never done any of that.
Yeah.
But she was like a drug.
Oh wow.
She was like we were like addicted to each other.
Whoa.
Yeah.
Do you think that sometimes that addiction could go sideways? Like it can be bad?
Yeah.
Like
it was too much.
Yeah, like a Romeo and Juliet kind of thing.
We just could not. It was very intense. Like very intense.
Yeah.
And we couldn't keep it up.
Yeah.
And
I had this girl that man, I really had a crush on her, and we finally got together, and man, I love her. I love her till today. Yeah. She's amazing, and she's a really good friend of mine. But she we were talking about being in a relationship, and we both agreed that if we would have stayed together, we would have destroyed each other. And that was her words. Her words was like, if you and I were together, we would have just destroyed each other. Right. Because our passion is too strong. Like we would just be driving ourselves crazy all the time. And I'm like, well, we won't know. We wouldn't know if we didn't get a chance.
That was part of my idea too.
Right?
At the
like
time.
How do you know? You just never know.
Like when we were like breaking up, like there was a part of me that's like, well, we should give it a chance.
Right.
And she was just like, if I give it a chance and it doesn't work out, I'll die.
Yeah. See, that's the other thing too, right?
Like basically,
the
like she's already
of falling in love.
It's such a thing that she's like, I can't even risk that because I'll die.
That's right.
So I was just like,
So that's why, in a way, it's best not to let go, even after a breakup.
Yeah.
You can still remain friends, and that's one thing that we should all talk about in the beginning, establishing a friendship that is not going to go sideways or it's going to be awkward or weird if things don't work out in terms of a relationship.
It's very tough.
You know what I mean?
It's very tough to stay friends.
Yeah, it's so hard to stay friends, but you start off as friends.
Well, I've actually been friends with almost all my girlfriends, but they weren't as intense.
Right.
They were just, a lot of 2-3 month thing, and then maybe there was a couple months where it was awkward, and then you run into them at the party, and I said some things, you said some things, we're fine.
Right. Yeah. Is there one girl that you can recall that you could that you wish that you could actually see again, in for many reasons, not only just for sex, maybe to close a chapter, or just to say, hey, I've been wanting to see you.
Well, that girl, but the thing about her that was an issue was that she didn't like to talk about stuff that was deep or complicated.
Right.
So it was frustrating because I would try to be like, all right, let's talk it out, and she literally couldn't even speak, like just be like,
whoa,
like that kind of stuff.
Whoa.
So it was to me. So if I wanted to get back and like talk it out, it wouldn't even work.
Right.
Because she couldn't even speak when it got heavy.
Yeah.
So
it's better not to even go there.
Yeah.
Because it's way too heavy.
Yeah.
I had one girl that last week I kept thinking about, and we'll close it up.
Yeah.
And this girl, man, it was actually the first chubby girl that I was with, and the first chubby girl that I had sex with. Right. And I remember her. She had a hard time. I remember her because she had a hard time getting naked because she was insecure about her body, right? But when she was dressed, she looked amazing. Like, like a tamal. You know what a tamalito is, right?
Yeah.
Okay, in Mexico we have tamalitos, but when you unwrap the tamalito, the tamal just goes poof, like this, right? It falls out of the wrapping. So she was kind of like that, right? She would you get her undressed, she would fall out of the wrapping.
Okay.
But I was like, and I loved it, man.
Right.
And I saw past her chubbiness. You know what I mean? I saw past her chubbiness, bro. Because she was delicious. She was amazing.
Yeah, don't ever say that to her.
No, and I remember we ended up just not talking to each other because I think I lost my phone, and then I changed the number, and blah blah blah. But I've always wondered what happened to that girl, man.
Right.
You know what I mean?
Well, you can find out.
Yeah, but then again,
Facebook, you just look on Facebook.
I don't remember her name. I don't remember her name,
You don't remember her name?
No, because I only saw her maybe 3 times. And
you don't remember her name?
And I've only knew her for a week. I don't remember her name, man.
That's crazy.
I don't remember her name. And that's the thing. That's another thing that I wish. No, because she was just a random girl that came from Victoria and was living on Pacific Street. Right. And this is like going back when I was in my early 20s.
Right.
Like 24 years ago or something like that. And that's probably why I don't remember. But her name. But I remember her. I remember her energy. And I've always thought, what happened to that girl? Do you have one like that where you think, what happened to that person? What happened to that girl?
Not really, because everybody's on Facebook.
Yeah, well, that's true. Yeah. And with that, we're gonna leave you. If you have that with one person, search it up on Facebook.
Search it on Facebook.
All right, man. Andy Cañete, Alex Rockhill, signing off. And now you got me right beside you.